Hey, online crew, I'm having a technical issue here. So I'm just trying to get the live in the group. I've just jumped off a Zoom call. So I'm not as organized as I used to be, as I normally am. Anyway, what I'm here to talk about today, so hopefully I'm live in the group now as well. We have a crisis in our profession. This is really interesting. I don't know whether you've seen, like if you're in network marketing, social selling, that's a lot of people who I train and support with modern social media strategies. This is not my saying. This has come out from Eric Worre recently. If you're on his database, you would have seen emails saying, that's a pretty strong statement. Like there's a crisis in our profession. And, what is it? And it's not the economy. It's not our teams. It's not changes in social media. It's not people going on about pyramid schemes. It's not any of that. And I was really, really interested to see what he said. And I'll tell you what it is in a moment. I teach this all the time, what he's actually talking about, which I'll get to in a second. And I could not agree more with what he is saying. Thanks for saying hello, Debbie, and thanks for sharing as well. So this is quote from him. This is not my words. This is his words. So this is from Eric Worre. Quote, okay? The crisis is because conversations with prospects are at an all-time low. So what does that mean? I'll get to that in a sec. And quote again, this is the metric for success in network marketing. So what he's talking about is conversations. And the reason why people aren't being successful in this industry is because they're not having conversations. They're not prompting conversations. They're not initiating conversations. They're sitting back on social media, learning attraction marketing, doing all the content, but they're not having enough conversations. And if you're not having conversations, you don't have a business. You just don't. Like if you think of your business right now, if you're not in any conversations with anybody at the moment regarding a product of yours or the business opportunity, you are not growing your business. You're just basically not getting any leads. By the way, I'm doing a lead generation boot camp in September. So we'll have information about that coming soon. So we don't necessarily want to focus on sales. We want to focus on leads, and you want to have leads to be able to get into those conversations. So something I share all the time, if you're familiar with my training, there's a couple of things that I say all the time. And I just really want to emphasize this because not enough people are doing it, but it's basically the future of your business. Content and conversations. You can't have one without the other. And I've always said, unless your content creates enough conversations, like if your content is that good and you have a big enough following and you have a big enough influence that every time you put out a piece of content, you've got a whole lot of people to talk to, you're all good with conversations because your content is prompting the conversations. However, if your content is not creating conversations, you have to give equal effort to creating conversations. And this is the thing that nobody wants to do. But this is the reality check. And as I said, I was really interested in Eric Worre calling this out. He's calling it a crisis. That's pretty strong. But he's calling it a crisis, the fact that not enough people are talking to people. And this is exactly why I share my strategy called ICQ. Who knows what that means? Who's been around me long enough to know what ICQ means? ICQ is, and if no one puts it up, I'll share that with you in a minute. That's your key to creating more conversations without being spammy, without pushing your business, without sharing without pushing your products on anybody. You need to start conversations. And honestly, you shouldn't be starting. I don't know what Eric Worre's teaching. I don't know about this, but from my perspective, a lot of people are introverts. They don't know how to initiate a conversation. If they initiate conversations, they can be too spammy. So just start it with ICQ. Now, what ICQ means is go to social media with intention. Find like whether you're going through your stories for the day or your feed for the day, or you're flicking through reels, like whatever content that you're scrolling. So you're intentionally going to your social media. You're not just scrolling, you're going to social media with intention to give a compliment and then ask a question. It's as simple as that. It is honestly as simple as that. Intention, compliment, question. When you do that, here's the strategy behind this. I've taught this for ages. But the reason behind that is it makes it easier for you because it's not spammy. Why most people are not in enough conversations is because they just don't know how to initiate a conversation. They just don't know how to start. But when you do ICQ, you can start a conversation by just saying something nice to somebody and then asking them a question to keep the conversation going. So it's very strategic. So one, intention. Instead of going to social media, and I know you go to your social media multiple times a day and you get lost in the scroll. Guarantee it. I do it too, even though I try not to. But guarantee it, you're getting lost in the scroll multiple times a day. So if you go to every time you pick up your phone and you're scrolling, if you actually go with intention to, okay, I'm going to connect instead of just consume, because it's easy to do, you can go to social media and just consume. And 40 minutes later, an hour later, you're like, what did I come to my phone for? Like you don't want to do that. So go to your social media with intention while you're looking at, the social media. So whether you're looking at people's stories or whether you're looking at your feed or whether you're looking at reels, scrolling through reels, find something nice to say to that person. So just compliment all the time. Compliment. Say nice things to people and then see if you can ask them a question. Like think of a question to ask them about their content, because that's what gets you the conversation to continue. People, it's unfortunate, but people aren't, it's not really the right thing to say, but people aren't as nice to people as they are to criticize. Would you agree with that? Like people are more likely to look at something and either have imposter syndrome or I could never do that, or look at somebody's content and I couldn't post something like that, or I'd never be able to do that, or I don't have that result, or, they think negatively about it or about other people. There's not a lot of people that are going out there just being an amazing human being and giving people compliments. Like, I love that reel you put together. That was so amazing. Like, how did you get that, that box over there or that wording there? Like, you're really good at this. Like when you send a compliment to somebody, it makes somebody feel seen and heard, and they'll remember you for that. That you will be on their radar for that, because not enough people do it. People aren't just generally nice all the time. Most people are self-absorbed. They're busy. There's just all about them. So like if you want to, like Eric Worre is saying, the crisis in our industry is that we're not having any conversation. We're not having enough conversations. And it's at an all-time low because too many people are sitting on social media and you're waiting for the conversation to happen. So while you're growing your social media following, while you are growing your influence, while you are growing and attracting leads, you might have to accept the fact that you have to spend 15 minutes a day, twice a day, or 30 minutes a day, or an hour a day, whatever time you've got. Some people have got more time than others to do ICQ. Right, I'm going to sit down and do ICQ. I'm going to open up my social media with intention. I'm not going to get lost in the scroll. I'm going to give compliments and ask questions. You would be surprised. Like we do blitzes in our team. And that's what I do. I just start, okay, not being distracted by anything else. I'm just going to do an hour's work, and I'll sit on my phone. I'll go through people's stories, bypass people in your own team, by the way. You don't want the algorithm to send your content. Like, you don't want to strengthen that algorithm. And here's the beauty of that so many people miss. So when you comment on stories, give somebody a compliment and ask the question, it gets in their messenger. You could like do ICQ on the feed and a comment on a reel and stuff like that. But if you get in people's messenger, like maybe you've seen a post and it's like, oh, I saw your post about, so you get into messenger. I saw your post about blah, blah, blah. That's amazing. And then you ask them a question. Guess whose content they are going to see the next day or the next hour, depending on when you posted, when they open up their Facebook. Yours. Like, do you not, I don't understand why people make this so complicated. If you just execute ICQ and get into people's messenger doing that, the way the algorithm works is it's driven by messenger. So the more conversations you're having in messenger, they're the people that are going to see your content in the algorithm. So go and start some private conversations, not by saying, join my business, or do you want to look at my thing? Or you'd be great in my business, or, you know, can I sell you a product? Not that, just a compliment and a question. And I guarantee you the next time they open their social media, they will see your content. So if you've got a really good content plan and you're posting regularly about your products, like attraction marketing type posts, or your business opportunity, they're going to indirect to them, start seeing your content. You have so much control on social media, and 99% of you are not using these strategies. I don't know how many times I have to say it. But again, it was really interesting seeing Eric Worre label it a crisis that not enough people in the industry are having conversations. So you can rectify that. Again, I don't know what he's teaching around this, but this is why I teach ICQ. This is why I teach you to get into Messenger with ICQ, because those people that you're in Messenger with will see your content, because the algorithm is driven by the private conversations that you have. So you can actually have more people, or more strategically have people see your posts if you go and start a conversation with them. But not buy my thing, join my business. Just think of something nice to say to them and start a conversation. People love being seen and heard, like I said before. And when you make people seen and heard, they'll think, oh, that was nice. Like, has anyone sent you like a compliment and you've thought, oh, that was lovely, thank you? Like, you can get on people's radar without selling your business, without pushing your products, just by being a nice, genuine human being. And this is why I teach be a human before a marketer. Once you're in a conversation with somebody, then you have the opportunity, and there is more skill to this, is learning how to then grow the conversation to a business or a product by the questions that you ask. That does require more skill. I've got all of that training in the coaching community. Oh, and by the way, I did a training earlier in the coaching community regarding how to take your audience from cold to curious through the content stacking method that I mentioned last week. But in that training, I gave you examples on each of those methods, and I gave you AI prompts to create each of those posts. So not only have you got the strategy, you've got examples, and you've got AI prompts. So that's in the coaching community. If you're a member there, go and catch that replay. Okay. But do you understand how it is a bit of a crisis? Because if you're not talking to anybody, you don't actually have a business, and you're definitely not growing your business. So you can't just sit back on social media and wait for it to happen, or have any kind of right to complain if you're not in any conversations. So if your content isn't creating the conversations initially, until you get a better following, until you grow your credibility, until you grow your, your presence online, you might just have to bite the bullet. And this is something else I say all the time as well. It's not being really enthusiastic about your business for a couple of weeks and then backing off. It's the success of your business is literally the small things that you do every day. So if you did ICQ a couple of times a day, a little bit in the morning, a little bit at night, or maybe you've got the opportunity to have a bigger time block and you do it for an hour a day, that is the best thing that you can do for your business to start conversations. You know, I've started conversations and people have said, oh, by the way, that stuff that you talk about all the time, can you tell me a little bit more about that? But unless I'd been in their inbox giving them a compliment and asking them a question, I would have never have known, because most people sit back and they don't make the first move. So this is all about you taking more control of your business, making more of a first move, if you like, but just being a genuine human, nice human, to be able to create those conversations and to get the algorithm working for your content. And you never know where a conversation might lead. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes, Leonie. Intention, compliment, and ask a question. Debbie, totally agree. Leonie, yep, 100% agree. Hey, Tina, absolutely agree. Okay, thanks, guys. What day is it? Okay, that's a sign of my week. I'm not live tomorrow because I do all my team calls tomorrow. So I will see you guys next week for more training. A couple of reminders, coaching community members, watch the replay of the training I did earlier regarding content stacking, each type of post, examples of post, and AI prompts for you to execute that strategy sooner rather than later. And watch out in the coming sort of week or so for the details on the lead generation bootcamp, because some of you could really probably, benefit from going through that bootcamp in how to attract more leads, or how to be more aware of how to attract more leads online. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.